Okay, this is Mason Finstead, and I'm recording an interview with my dad, Donald Finstead, for philosophy. Don, what do you believe is the greatest good in life?
I think the greatest good in life is simply loving and caring for others.
Do you have a philosophy of life?
I would say that probably the closest thing I have to a philosophy of life is that we are created for a particular purpose, and that if we pay attention and look and listen and watch, that purpose will be revealed to us at some point in our lifetime.
All right. Uh, have you come across any principles or little bits of wisdom in life that you believe someone would benefit from knowing?
I don't know if they'll benefit or not, but it's been my experience that if you live only for your own interests, you're going to end up living a life that is very unsatisfying and ultimately frustrating and in vain. I will.
Um, do you think people with a lot of wealth in the world have an obligation to help people who are poor or don't have what they need to stay alive or support their families?
Yes, I do. And I think we need to be careful that when we're talking about wealthy, that we're talking about probably a predominantly large number of people that live in the United States as opposed to the whole world. That being said, I think that it has to be something that is voluntary and not something that is enforced by government or some political body. I think a governmental body or a political um, machine or whatever that forcibly takes money from one person and gives it to somebody else, I don't think that matches that philosophy very well.
Uh, do you believe it should be illegal to abort a child?
Should be legal?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't believe it should be legal to abort a child. I happen to believe that life begins at conception, and that the taking of a life is against the moral laws of God.
Do you believe capital punishment should be legal?
No, along those same lines, I don't think that should be legal as well. And for the same reason, it's the taking of a life. I don't think the taking of a life is ever justified. Um, and at the same time, it also it eliminates an opportunity for that person to experience the redemption and grace that can be found. And I'm not beyond thinking that a person is capable of turning their life around and after having made an awful mistake, that there isn't a lot of potential benefit in that life continuing, even if it's in prison for the rest of their life. I think people can accomplish a great deal serving in prison.
Do you believe people have the freedom of will?
Yes, I think they do. I think we all have tendencies that maybe try to, they may cause us to act in a certain way or another, but I think ultimately we do get to decide how we act and what we end up doing. Um, Sometimes fighting against those tendencies can be frustrating, and it probably isn't the easiest thing to do, but ultimately we do get to decide what we do.
Okay. Do you believe God exists?
Yes, I do. I believe God created all that there is, and that he continues to be actively involved in his creation on a daily basis and on a personal basis with all of his creation.
Do you think people are born with inherent knowledge of the world and predetermined uh, personal characteristics, or are we more like a blank slate?
I think we are born with some predetermined characteristics, but um, I think we're all capable of some fundamental change. I think we're very susceptible to how we are brought up and we're susceptible to outside influences, even as we continue into adulthood. I think a great part of how we act is affected by who we associate with and what we expose ourselves to.
Um, do you believe the mind exists that has causal powers, or is everything determined by something in the body going on at a physical level?
I think the mind exists, and I think it has formidable power that we probably can't even begin to comprehend. Um, I think we can affect things at the physical level with the power of our mind, whether it be the power of positive thinking or the power of an appropriate attitude towards things. The power of being able to um, maybe at least add on or to increase the power of our body to heal itself. I think those things are all affected in at least a certain degree by our mental powers and our mind.
All right. Do you have a favorite type of music or musician?
I do. I suppose about 15, 16 years ago, I started listening to Christian music. I particularly like Hillsong from Australia. They do a lot of praise and worship type music. But I like Christian music probably more than anything else. I like the message that it provides. I like its outlook. It focuses on valuing what's good in the world and what's admirable, what is worth pursuing. Um, but at the same time, it they'll sing about the shortcomings of people as well, but mainly it's out beyond the praise and worship of God. It also encourages people to live lives that are honorable and admirable.
All right. Well, that's about all the time I have. Uh, that's about all the time I have. Thank you again for doing this, Don.
You're welcome.
You could at least look at me, not the camera when we're
Appreciate it.
shaking hands. All right. Um, thank you very much.
You're welcome.